Music and mental health. How do they work together? Does music have a positive or a negative impact on humans' mental health? Let's talk about it. Hi everyone, and welcome to Musicably. I'm Palo Beka, musicologist and musician based in Toronto, Canada. On this channel, we explore ways how an active music making or musicking can improve our health, relationships, well-being, our lives. In this video, I want to talk about the relationship between music and the mental health. If you are interested, any additional information and helpful links you can find in the description below. And while there, also please consider subscribing to our channel. My daughter plays a violin, so no surprise that she likes to watch the YouTube channel Two Said Violin, where two young Australian violinists, originally from Taiwan, talk in a funny way about all things violin and music. As they say, they are making classical music relevant to the modern generation through fun, humor and simplicity. Once in a while I check their channel too, although I definitely don't belong to the target group of their more than 3 million subscribers. I just want to be sure that the daughter is getting the right message. Watching the Two Said Violin guys, Brett and Eddie, in their recent YouTube video called Opening Up About Our Mental Health, made me think about how negative can be the extreme effort to become a musician. Extreme stress, burnout, anxiety, social phobia, tinnitus, drugs abuse, but also a cutthroat competition and struggle for a constant perfection. These are issues that they talk about in the video and with which they have personal experience themselves or are familiar with. They mention a research finding that over 30% of Australian professional musicians experience a clinical level of social phobia. Particularly impactful is Eddie's personal story. He talks how because of the extreme stress while preparing for music competitions and auditions and the following burnout, he experienced so much physical pain that he ended up incapacitated in a wheelchair for 2 months. He has been lucky as he has recovered and continues in his career, but apparently too many talented musicians are just forced to finish their career due to their mental health issues. So they become musicians to share their music and talent, and then because of these health issues caused maybe by music, they cannot share it anymore. Watching Eddie talking about his struggles made me realize that there is something fundamentally flawed in how music works in this modern era, especially for professional musicians, those who aspire to become professional, but also many others. My main idea is this: music wouldn't survive throughout the human evolution to this time if its impact on its creators would have been so damaging. So, what has gone wrong? These self-destroying efforts of not only professional musicians cannot be in line with the evolutionary reasons why we have music. Definitely not as one of the tools for the self-preservation and reproduction. Music as such would have disappeared a long time ago, or the Homo sapiens would just go extinct because of music. Even the Charles Darwin theory of music being used as a means for attracting sexual partners cannot be applied in this modern era. Underpaid, overworked, physically and mentally challenged people, as too many musicians seem to be, are not the best for keeping the humankind evolving and replicating. Digging deeper into this topic, I found an interesting scientific report titled The Effects of Playing Music on Mental Health Outcomes, published in the scientific journal Nature. It brings outcomes of a research where scientists tested whether musical engagement predicts a diagnosis of depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar or stress-related disorders based on nationwide patient registers of self-reported depressive burnout and schizotypal symptoms in more than 10,000 Swedish twins. The paper also mentions a recent survey among more than 2,000 British self-identified professional musicians, which found musicians to be up to 3 times more likely to report depressive problems than individuals in the general population. Such findings suggest that creativity and musicianship may be risk factors for mental health problems. But is that true? Because there are many studies that report positive relationships between musical engagement and mental health, thus suggesting the opposite, namely that engagement in music could be protective against psychiatric problems. The article also mentions many of such studies, and we can add beneficial effects of the music therapy here as well. What seems to be an important factor is the type of that musical engagement. The article makes this quite clear. I quote, "It seems that differentiating between active amateur and professional musicians might explain the discrepancy between, on the one hand, research reporting beneficial effects of music in everyday life on mental health, and on the other hand, the high rate of depression and suicides among professional musicians." So, what is the result of the Swedish twins research? Simply, it didn't confirm the negative effects of playing music. Factors that may have influenced both musicianship and mental health problems seem to be genetic and environmental. That means, as I understand it, that what may have a negative impact on the mental health is the immediate environment of musicians, their family, school, relationships, society, and their profession. The Swedish research results are similar for both professionals and amateur musicians. But as I know the current music world, there are too many amateur musicians who aspire to become professionals. They just cannot make enough money from their music making, thus consider themselves amateurs. But still, the stress they expose themselves to is often similar, if not even worse. So here comes a question that I have been struggling with for quite a while. Hasn't music become a means of abuse of musicians on one side and the audience on the other, all for the benefit of those who really make money in this scenario, the music industry? According to the industry data, in the US, musicians take home only 12% of the total music industry revenue.
What?
People who are the core of the entire business participate by only 12% on the money the audience pays. And another fact is that the majority of this 12% goes to established, successful artists. Then, what is the chance to become a successful music artist? Apparently, that chance is close to zero, or to be more precise, somewhere around 0.000002%. That is 2 people from million. So here we have on one side creators, musicians willing to sacrifice their health and sometimes their lives for the extremely hard to reach dream of success, fame and wealth. On the other side are the middlemen, the music industry, who hold the power and reap most of the benefits. When looking at this, my impression is that music in its current evolution is running in a wrong direction on a dead-end street, because it is only a matter of shorter time and the industry will figure out how to exclude musicians from the equation completely and replace them by computers, robots and the artificial intelligence. I'm afraid that when that point will be reached, the average audience will not even recognize the difference based on the quality of a majority of the commercially produced music now. If you asked me what to do in this grim-looking situation, I would suggest two things. In the short term, to those musicians who feel that they may have a mental health issue, the first step is to find someone to talk about it. As the two sad violin guys acknowledged, this problem has been worsened by the fact that nobody had been openly talking about it. Fortunately, that seems to be slowly changing. There are also a number of organizations that try to help musicians struggling with mental issues, like Music Minds Matter in the UK, Unison Fund in Canada, Music Cares or Backline in the US, and similar organizations in other countries. You can find links in the description below. In the long term, my view is that our relationship with music will need to change. If we don't want machines to fill our airwaves with sound combinations produced by the artificial intelligence, we better get into making music ourselves, like our ancestors used to do it. If everyone is musical, then everyone can play and make music. Everyone is music-able. If we break the music industry with its Ponzi scheme, there could be way more sustainable jobs for professional musicians as well. Much less stress from making music and way more good relationships between professional musicians and the active audience. Musicably wants to help you in your efforts to make music. Check out our other videos, subscribe to our channel and read our blog at musicably.com. And the most importantly, keep musicking.